Good afternoon. I am humbly and deeply honored to be here today. The Purple Heart Award, a distinguished recognition given to members of the military who have been wounded or killed while serving, is a powerful reminder of the sacrifice of our nation's service members and veterans. Purple Heart Day is a time to reflect on the service of these recipients. The original Purple Heart, designated as the Badge of Military Merit, was established by George Washington, then the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, by order of his Newburgh, New York headquarters on August 7, 1782. The Badge of Military Merit was only awarded to 3 Revolutionary War soldiers by General George Washington himself. General Washington authorized his subordinate officers to issue badges of merit as appropriate. From then on, as its legend grew, so did its appearance. Although never abolished, the award of the badge was not proposed again officially until after World War I. On October 10, 1927, the Army Chief of Staff, Charles Summerall, directed that a draft bill be sent to Congress to revive the Badge of Military Merit. The bill was withdrawn and action on the case ceased in January of 1928. But the Office of the Adjutant General was instructed to file all materials collected for possible future use. On January 7, 1931, Summerall's successor, General Douglas MacArthur, confidently reopened work on a new design involving the Washington Commission of Fine Arts. Elizabeth Will was named to redesign the newly revived medal, which became known as the Purple Heart. Under general specifications provided to her, Will created the design sketch for the present Medal of the Purple Heart. The new design, which exhibits a bust and profile of George Washington, was issued on the bicentennial of Washington's birth out of respect for his memory and for his military achievements. The requirements for the award of the Purple Heart have shifted over the years. The initial criteria announced in a War Department circular in 1932 authorized the award for soldiers who had received the Meritorious Service Citation Certificate, the Army Wound Ribbon, or those who were authorized to wear wound chevrons subsequent to April 5, 1917, the day before the United States entered World War I. During the early period of American involvement in World War II, the Purple Heart was awarded for both wounds received in action against the enemy and for meritorious performance of duty. With the establishment of the Legion of Merit, an act of Congress, the practice of awarding the Purple Heart for meritorious service was discontinued. By executive order in 1942, the decoration was applied to all services and also authorized the award only for wounds received. Both military and civilian personnel during World War II era were required to provide circumstances of their injury. In 1952, Executive Order revised authorizations to include the service secretaries subject to the approval of the Secretary of Defense. And in 1962, an additional Executive Order included provisions for a posthumous award of the Purple Heart. There were no further changes until 1984, when the Purple Heart was authorized as a result of terrorist attacks or while serving on a peacekeeping force. On June 13, 1985, the Senate approved an amendment to the 1985 Defense Authorization Bill, which changed the precedence of the Purple Heart Award, placing it immediately above the Meritorious Service Medals. The criteria to receive a Purple Heart Medal has evolved over time to reflect the many changes to the definition of what a combat situation is, or who is eligible to actually receive the award. However, one thing about the Purple Heart that has not changed is that it is synonymous with sacrifice on the battlefield. This prestigious award, coveted by service members and veterans, carries a special distinction that still resonates 238 years after the creation of the Badge of Military Merit by General Washington. We are now standing in front of a beautiful memorial dedicated to our Illinois veterans who are Purple Heart recipients. There have been over 1.8 million blood brothers and sisters that have been awarded the Purple Heart and counting, and approximately 500,000 are still alive. In closing, We must continue to honor and respect those who have suffered wounds or paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we cherish every day. We must remember those who gave all of their tomorrows so that we may have today. We must never allow ourselves or our country to forget why General Washington created the Badge of Merit, to honor exceptional performance of duty. Thank you.